Bossing over food, don't wear no fashion over. Promise to my plug that I won't let you go. Almost took 2 steps, but ain't nowhere to go. Promise if I get there, I'ma let you know. Bossing over food, don't wear no fashion over. Promise to my plug that I won't.
All right, what's up, guys? Today we are talking about how to replay or remake a sample without getting sued. All right, so I came across this video by DJ Mustard, and we're gonna dive right into this. So I saw this Mustard video, and it made me want to do a video about this because this is honestly how I've gotten maybe like half my placements as a producer. So I'm gonna play this video, then we're gonna dig right into it.
If you sample the master track, they will take all your money. But if you replay it like this, they can't take all of it because it's only an interpolation. But it's played slower than the real one. So anyways.
All right, so you heard what he said. He said if you sample the actual master track, they can take all the money. And he's telling the truth. My very first placement was a song called Hey There by Dej Loaf and Future. And if you guys want, after this video, my next video, I can do a breakdown of that and how I remade that. But what happened with that song is that because of the timing and we were kind of up against the release schedule, the group that we sampled, they basically knew that they had us up against the wall. And so they took half our publishing anyway, even though we completely remade the sample. Right. But it was still so close to the original that they end up taking half the publishing. So they really can take all your money. And so what ended up happening with that is I ended up getting like 2.5% on a song that I did 25, literally half of the music I did, but I ended up with like 2%, right? So that's what can happen. So that's the whole purpose of learning this, is so that you can keep your money, right? Because when you start getting into producing songs for artists where there's a lot, there's backing, there's funding behind it, the artist is going to chart and go on tour and all this type of stuff, what you find in the industry is it's kind of like, it's like sharks circling around, like when there's blood in the water, right? When there's like money to be made in the industry, you start to see a lot of stuff, and you see stuff like this where everybody's trying to get their cut. And so the more that you can keep, the better. All right. So now what DJ Mustard is talking about is interpolation, right? He's talking about taking a piece of a sample and replaying it exactly how it is on the actual song. So it's immediately recognizable, but it's not like, actually sampling the actual song. You're actually just replaying it exactly how it is. Now, what I'm talking about is taking that a step further and taking the essence of the sample and remaking it to where it's different enough to where you don't even have to clear the sample, right? To where it's not even, some people might not even know that, oh, this was inspired by this, right? And that's essentially what you're doing. You're just taking the inspiration from something and you're creating something new. That's the way to look at it, right? 'Cause that's basically what you're doing. All right. So this song that I played was a song called Promises by an artist named Leaky Bands. It wasn't a big song, but he was signed to Atlantic at the time. So like we got an advance, a small advance, and like, whatever. It being a popular or not popular song really is not the point. I actually personally really, really like this song, and I was really excited to be a part of it. So I'm going to show the sample first. I'm gonna just play the beat. This is all the stuff I did to remake it. This is the sample right here, these 3 tracks. All right, so let me just play it first. All right, cool. Right. Really, really, really well produced track. Now, this is the sample right here. Let's see if you can tell what it is. I mean, the name is already on there, but okay. So if you couldn't tell, it's "End of Time" by Justin Timberlake. All right. So I'm gonna mute all this drum stuff. It's guitar. Okay. So I'm gonna show you kind of what was driving. Now this was really easy to do because it's a simple song and the chord progression is common enough to where like nobody can automatically be like, yo, oh, you took that from this. It's like that's just a simple. Anybody who knows any type of music theory or the number system, that's a simple 4-3-2-3-4. That's all it is. So the first thing I did was like, okay, well, let me just start with the keys. Let me just give it that feel, right? And so I use Rolling Cloud. I feel like for a lot of this, but this is just a regular preset in Rolling Cloud, electric piano, nothing crazy. Okay, cool. That's how we started. Now, if you hear in the sample, let's go right here. Okay, well, that's the filtered one. So let's get the one that's opened up. Not that one. This one. Right? That vocal thing is giving it a lot of energy, right? So usually when you're replaying a sample, that's going to be the most difficult thing to replicate, right? You're going to have to either like sing it yourself if you can, get somebody else to sing it, or if you're fortunate, like I was with this, I went into Arcade and I found a sample that was similar enough to give it a very kind of like almost the same feel, but different enough to where it's like, oh, like this basically cleared us from having to get a sample clear altogether, right? Because it's that different. So this is what I ended up with. So I even open it up so you can see. Because it's like, let me see if I can remember. Okay, so I literally played it like that. I did 2 notes an octave up and then I did 1 note an octave down. And then I came back to get the end of the phrase. I did. So I literally played it how I wanted it to go because I knew I needed that. Yeah. And so it gave me that feel, but it's actually a harmony up from what the song does, right? And so what it ended up being when it's all said and done is this right here. Okay, so let me play it in context so you can hear everything that I did. You can already hear it coming together with the keys. And then this is the other sounds that I added. Okay, so let's jump into this. Now this is really simple. I just did this to add some movement, right? Because in the sample, they used this. So you see kind of how it gives it like a little bounce. And so I knew it needed something like that. And so I went here. This is just another Rolling Cloud. Just a preset. I didn't even really adjust it at all. I just added a kickstart, which is just a side chain effect, essentially. And that gave it some movement. So if I take this off, you can hear what the actual chords are doing. Simple. Sometimes when you're playing this stuff, you have to think about what it's going to sound like in context, because like to play this by itself, you would think that's not going to sound good like in the context of this beat. Same with this. This is a sound I layered it with. Like, come on, bro. That's why you have to have vision. Like, sound design is really about vision. There's been times when I'm working with other producers when I would be putting something together like this, and they would be looking at me like, what is he doing? Because the process of getting to the final result, it sounds crazy. Because it's like, come on, bro. Like, there's no way you're going to hear this and feel like it's going to fit. Like, matter of fact, I'm going to put all this stuff back in, put the drums back in. Like, that sounds crazy. It still sounds good too. No, seriously, bro. You got to really think about this, because it's not about necessarily the individual sounds. It's about how they fit together. And you can make, man, that's the thing about sound design that's so incredible. You can literally make anything fit, bro. You can make anything fit that you want to be in there. You really can. It's just about how you do it. That's why one of the things I always say is like, bro, it's not about the tools. Like, you could do all this stuff with stock plugins if you know what you're doing. You don't need all the fancy plugins, and you ain't got to spend $1,000 on, this and that. And you don't have to do that. It's honestly better to use the cheaper stuff when you're starting out, because it forces you to learn the tools, to learn the concept behind the tools, to understand what you're doing. That way, when you have better tools, all you're doing is just leveling up what you already know. You're not relying on the fancy tool and still not really understanding what's happening. And so that's why I can take a sound like this that would normally like be kind of like, this is kind of cheesy. But something as simple as, okay, I threw ensemble on there, some modulation, and then the side chain, and then it's, so that already, even by itself, it sounds a lot cooler, right? And so the whole purpose of that is just it's adding movement, it's adding a little bit of background ambiance, and like they probably, they actually probably mixed this down in the beat for the actual final record, because it's not really it's more so something you feel. It's not really something that is meant to stand out like that, right? So like I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Turn both of these down. And then this one was it's just the same. It's this same arcade sample. I just rendered it down to audio, threw it in Serato sample, and pitched it up. Because that's what the actual sample that they used was doing, right? And so I'm gonna play the whole beat, and you're gonna see how it all ties in. So there was a guitar loop already in there that played some of the melody too. So that kind of added to kind of giving it the full feel. So I'm gonna play the version with the sample first, and then I'm gonna play the version of what I remade. Okay, cool, right? Sounds great. I'm gonna take the sample out, add me back in there. Here we go. That's all there is to it, man. That's how you remake a sample without getting sued. All right. So listen, if you want to learn how to do some of this stuff, we have resources for that. You can click the link in the bio, in the description, and join our academy, and you can learn how to do this stuff I just showed you. And I'm telling you, man, I told you I got my very first placement I got from doing this. And it makes you valuable because not a lot of people take the time to learn this stuff like to this extent. To where, yeah, could I have remade that sample exactly as it sounded on the track? Could I have remade every sound like pretty much exactly to what was on the record? Absolutely, I can do that. Even that itself is a skill, to be able to hear a sound and figure out, yo, like reverse engineer it. You know what I'm saying? To be like, yo, I can figure out how to remake this exact sound. That in itself is a skill. But that's the foundation of being able to be like, okay, well, I can see how they made this, so let me just tweak it a little bit. Boom, 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 and now, boom, now we got our own thing, right? And so it makes you valuable. So when it was time to like, the label had told them like, yo, we got to get rid of this sample. If they know that, you know, you obviously in this case is me, they know like, well, who's the best person I know at doing stuff like this? Oh, it's Jason. All right, let's hit Jason and see if he can do it. Cool. You just lucked, not even lucked, but a placement just fell in your lap without you having to do anything. No groundwork, no legwork, just from mastering your craft, bro. And that's what this is all about. So hit that link, man. I'll see y'all in the academy. If you got questions about anything else, man, just hit me up. I'm here to help, bro. All right. Peace.